What's up everyone? So finally the Caladium season is coming to an end. So if you find your Caladium leaves growing smaller or if the leaves are turning yellow and falling off, you do not need to be scared. It is the end of the season for our Caladiums. Now being said that, few of my Caladiums are still putting out new growth and they are still growing. Probably it's because of the environment, because it has started to all of a sudden rain in my city, so probably they are a little bit confused. Now because there are leaves present on these Caladiums, I'm still going ahead and continuing to water them, but I'm not adding any fertilizers. So if your Caladium pot is completely empty, there are no leaves, there are no stems, you do not need to be worried. You have to shift them to a shaded area if you're leaving the tubers in the soil, and ensure the most important thing, do not water the empty pot, do not add any fertilizers. If you are going to water the pot with no leaves, then your tuber will get rotted, so you have to be extremely careful. It's completely natural. The tubers have gone to rest. In my case, these are the only 4 that are still having leaves. Rest all of them have dropped the leaves and it is completely empty pots. So for these I'm still continuing to water, but I'm not using any fertilizers. I can let them go into rest by stopping the water. If I'm going to stop the water, all of these leaves are going to wilt and fall off, and then the pot is going to stay empty. But now because they are still putting out leaves, I thought I will water them. Maybe within a couple of weeks, if the leaves tend to drop, well and good. Otherwise they are going to stay like this. Now it is a very natural thing for the leaves to fall off, because this is the dormancy period. Unlike other plants which tend to slow down their growth or which tend to close their leaves, these guys tend to drop all of the leaves and only the tubers tend to stay beneath the soil. Now ideally what happens is that the tuber goes into a rest period, and by the time you have your spring or summer, in my city, by the end of March or mid-March is when they start to sprout back again. I tend to leave my tubers in the soil because we don't experience frost or snowfall in our city. So I tend to leave them in the pot. A lot of you guys who tend to grow them outdoors and you experience frost or snowfall, then of course you cannot leave the tubers in the soil. They will rot. You'll have to take them out and store them in a dry, cool place. Probably you can wrap them in newspapers or tissue papers or toilet roll. You can just wrap them in that and keep them in a drawer or in a shelf. Before you do that, you have to ensure that the tubers are completely dry and then store them. So these are going to stay like this. I have moved them to a little bit of a brighter area, but I still notice that they are still putting out a lot of new leaves. This is a new leaf that has recently come up. And also you might notice I have started putting in an inch and a half of very fine sand on the top layer of soil. The reason is because this is what's happening to most of my Caladiums. This Caladium pot is completely gone dormant. You can see there are no leaves, there is nothing present. This particular pot is completely gone dormant, and you can see this is what I am irritated with. A lot of weeds that have started to grow, and this is going to continue as and when it starts to rain. The weeds tend to come back every monsoon season, so this time I thought I will completely eradicate them by putting a layer 1 inch or maybe 1.5 inch of sand, so that they don't grow back again. It's very difficult to clean the spots, and it becomes very difficult for the Caladiums also to grow. A lot of times the Caladium leaves tend to get stuck between these weeds, because these are very these weeds have very thick stems, so it becomes very difficult and they get tangled in this. So as an experiment, I started with this. I was not very sure if the leaves will be able to push through the sand, but it did, because this is the new leaf and it has pushed out through the fine sand, which is a very good sign. So that's why I will be using some sand in all of the pots. This one is putting out a new leaf, as you can see. I'll ensure that the leaf is above the sand, but eventually when they will start to grow, they are going to get used to it. But I just want to stop the weed growth in these pots. So I think I'll have to add a little bit more on this corner and then just shake it off. So hopefully this is going to stop the growth of weeds. I'm going to add a little bit more sand, because I think the sand is running through those holes that are present in the pot. So I will add in some more sand. eventually, but this is how I'm going to be working. I have another 30-40 pots of caladiums that I'll have to do this, and I do not use solid fertilizers, so it's not going to be much of an issue for me. I know for people who use solid fertilizers, this is going to be a little difficult because the fertilizers are going to stay on top layer of soil, so it makes no sense. So it's up to you. You can use other things like mulch, like you can use leaf compost or waste tea leaves. That is also going to work out really well, but I think for me the sand is going to work out really well because those weeds are very, very thick and they tend to destroy the entire look of the pot, apart from making it difficult for the leaves to unfurl. So in this way I will be filling in the ones that are dormant. It is going to be much easier for me to put that sand, so it's around 1.5 inch of sand, and when the season starts I'm sure they are going to push through this sand, because the sand is going to be dry until then. As I mentioned, I'm not going to be watering any of these pots which are completely empty, because the tubers are resting beneath, so it's going to be completely dry. And by the mid or end of March, when the shoots start to appear, is when I'm going to start watering them. So until then they are going to be like this. I'm going to fill in some more sand. I have a lot of this fine sand that I filter, so I have enough of them, and I think it is going to cover up all those 30 to 40 pots that I have. So there is a lot of work, but again I do not need to be worried because the new shoots are not going to come up until March, so there is a long time. I can easily fill up those empty pots with the dry fine sand. So that's it for today, guys. I hope that you liked this video. If you did, please hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep planting.